to start, like, DPA has this reputation, right, of being this thing that like marketers don't want to deal with. My job is to convince you that this reputation is unwarranted, and in fact, you should flip your perception of catalog ads. You should totally think about them differently. 68% of ad spend in that category goes to catalog ads.
That's a massive amount.
The delivery structure of catalog ads is totally different from regular image or video, right? Why?
No UGC ad lasts forever, unfortunately.
No. If there's one thing we know about UGC, it's going to die, right, at some point.
And it's unpredictable. There's too many factors at play.
It's volatile, too. The performance swings up and down. And in many ways, catalog ads is the opposite of that. So if you can crack the code on DPA, you are able to pretty much like scale an ad format that doesn't hit creative fatigue.
You might know ugly ads, but have you heard of boring ads? So imagine a meta ad creative that is so easy to create that you do not need a team of video editors, graphic designers, or even creative strategy. Yet it has nearly infinite variations, but actually less chance of human error. And because of all that, it tends to actually have better performance. This is DPA ads, dynamic product ads, aka catalog ads. And here with me today, I have the master of catalog ads, my good friend, Dan Pantelo, who is also the founder of Marpipe. And from what I understand, you just spend all day thinking about catalog ads, right?
Yeah, sounds like a nightmare for most marketers, right?
Scary for creative strategists, I will say. Yeah.
But it's not as scary as people think, I promise. It's actually way more fun and interesting than I think most marketers think it is. But yeah, we spend all day, every day, just strictly thinking about catalog ads, how they work, how they can be improved. And we handle catalog ads and catalog strategy for some of the world's biggest retailers and some of the world's most exciting, fast-growing DTC brands that we all know of.
That's amazing. So if you could give someone like a quick overview of DPA ads, catalog ads, and why they're so important, like especially for someone who's not as familiar with it. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially ones that watch my channel, they know the us versus them ads, the feature point out ads, and catalog ads are a little bit of a mystery. So what would you say to them about DPA?
Yeah. So to start, like DPA has this reputation, right, of being like this thing that like marketers don't want to deal with. Right. And my job is to convince you that this reputation is unwarranted. And in fact, you should flip your perception of catalog ads. You should totally think about them differently.
I do think I think it's like the technical aspect for me as a marketer. Like the catalog is just kind of, it's kind of frankly easier to come up with a UGC script or a new static on my side.
Exactly. And that's why we got into marketing, right? Like as a marketer, you're like, I'm creative. I love ads. I love ethos, pathos, like all that stuff, right? Like all the things that make a good ad, and good advertising creative, like appreciable by people. That's why we got into marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what like really compelled us in the first place. And so we as marketers, we all have this natural urge to be creative in what we do, right? And so catalogs are like way more of an engineering centric thing, right?
Yes,
it's just like a massive spreadsheet, right? So like every brand, if you're selling things online, you have a product catalog, right? And so all these brands have a product catalog that is managed in something called a PIM, a product information management system. Okay, so every brand has a PIM, whether you know it or not. Some like smaller Shopify stores who are just starting out are like, I don't have a PIM. Shopify has a built-in PIM. So whether you know it or not, you're using a PIM. Some brands who are bigger like use a more sophisticated one. It essentially is your catalog. It's like one massive glorified spreadsheet that is like the center of truth for like all your product data, right? So like it connects to your warehouse, right? And like when your warehouse runs out of stock on something, like that'll update in the like live spreadsheet that like, this SKU is like out of stock.
Right.
And then that is also connected then to your like website. And so your Shopify store, once that's out of stock, can automatically update on the Shopify store and say like out of stock, right? So that
sounds complicated though. So but that's like the whole point of Marpipe, right? You guys make it easier.
Yeah, exactly. So essentially like what we're what catalog ads are,
Yeah.
right, is and a lot of people don't even know like that's just like the foundational groundwork here is like, everyone knows you can record a video or make an image and upload that to an ad platform and use that as the ad. But a lot of people don't know that like you can actually just like plug in the product catalog right into any ad platform. Any paid social ad platform will accept your product catalog as an upload, and it'll just run the product images in your product catalog as your ads. That's what catalog ads are. Really simple. You just plug in your product catalog, and it's just like it's there's a lot of places with that like setup process. There's a lot of places people can go wrong. There's a lot of things you can get wrong. It's technical. It's boring. But there's actually there's a lot there's like so many reasons why brands should be focusing on this. There's a lot of benefits behind catalog ads that people don't realize. People don't usually realize like how big of a category it is, right?
How big of a category is it?
Okay, so a while ago, Meta dropped this stat that in the e-commerce category on Meta, right? So like you're taking out all of like the B2B stuff, all of that, or like e-commerce category, retail, okay? They said that 68% of ad spend in that category goes to catalog ads.
That's a massive amount.
As opposed to image and video ads.
Yeah.
So like the actual ad spend that this one ad format is taking up is monstrous. So while marketers are sitting here talking about like video ads,
creative strategy. Yikes, I'm going to be out of a job. Okay.
This is a monster of like an ad unit, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and it's growing really quickly, right? It's only getting better. Like ASC, we'll cover that. Like ASC comes out, like makes it a lot more powerful. But yeah, so like you have this ad format that is just like a monster in terms of spend. That's how like we didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah.
I used to run an agency back in the day.
I was wondering how you got your start with Marpipe. Okay. Yeah.
So we had a performance creative agency.
Okay.
And it was like a really small shop, and we were just focused on making like good ad creative, ugly ads, trying to make ads that don't look like ads.
I feel like this sounds familiar to a ton of people watching this. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so we were focused on like creative testing, right? All of that good stuff, which you talk a lot about. Like you have some really good content on creative testing. And so we were doing all that, but then we started working with some like big like retail brands that were like more established and had like a large international retail presence. And we looked at their ad accounts and we were like, oh my God, like 80% of your ad spend is going into stuff that like is not image or video ads, right? That we like have no control. We cannot like help you there.
Yeah.
What is that? And so we started digging into catalog ads and learning more about it. And then we realized like, wow, this is for so many big categories, this is the main ad group. Why does it work so well, right? How can you make it work better? How did they like figure this out and crack this code, whereas like other brands didn't, right? So we had like so many questions about catalog ads that made us like double click on all of these things. And eventually we figured out like, this is a misunderstood space. A lot of people don't know like how to figure out and crack the code, right? Like so many people have challenges like setting up their DPA, getting it up and running. But once you do, right, like the advantages are insane, right? So if you can crack the code on DPA, you are able to pretty much like scale an ad format that doesn't hit creative fatigue, right? So this is like a big thing with catalog ads, right?
Yeah.
Like they are ads that look like ads. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
which I feel like is the thing that people say is bad, but I think particularly for people who are in market, like that's actually really good because it gets right to things that they are already looking for. And I think something that you and I talked about before too is that DPA ads have a fundamentally different delivery system, which I consider almost like a hack on the algorithm.
Yeah. So this is like really important to highlight, right? Like, and which is why when some brands set up catalog ads for the first time, they see like a totally different performance profile from anything they've run before.
Yeah.
Like leagues different. I mean, it could be like, positive or negative, right? Depending on your setup. But the delivery structure of catalog ads is totally different from regular image or video, right? Why? When you upload a catalog ad, your product catalog into Meta or wherever, you are the algorithm is reading your product, all the SKU level data.
So
right?
if you have like a shoe brand, for instance, it's reading all of the shoe sizes, the colorways, even like the fabric.
Exactly.
And, okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing that Meta is really good at, as we know, is understanding like what you're in the market for and like what you're shopping for, right? So if you're shopping for a size 7 brown leather shoe to wear to your fancy like wedding occasion, and your price range is $160 to $180, Meta knows what you're shopping for, right? And so and Meta knows which catalogs out there in its ether of all the catalogs that it has access to fit exactly that profile.
And fit your size. If you find like a brand and, this certain size is out, Meta will actually look at your competitors, right? And figure out, okay, what's another brand? What's another like option that we can give this person so they can convert? Exactly.
The delivery is way more efficient. Why? Because like if I'm serving if I'm out of size 10 shoes, and the person who would be receiving this ad is known to be a size 10 shoe, right? I should not serve them that ad for that shoe because I'm out of stock for size 10.
So then it's even more efficient.
The video ad would never know that.
Yeah.
The video ad doesn't know that you're out of stock
like
for size 10,
now.
right?
Yeah.
And so if you like run out of stock of a certain item, it stops serving the catalog ad, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't target a person who doesn't fit the profile of like favoring the colorways or the sizes, right? And so this like applies really nicely to apparel. It applies really nicely to like travel categories, even to like the furniture and home goods space, right? Like there's a lot of information about in your catalog about your SKUs that makes it really much easier for the algorithm to like pair it with people to serve the ad to. So the delivery is actually like much more relevant. You could almost think of it like catalog ads are like the advertising version of like Amazon's "You May Also Like" section.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, you're shopping for an Amazon item, you click on something you like, clearly you have intent, you're searching for this, you want something in this category, you might be searching for like protein powders.
Yeah.
And then like right below that product is that like famous section, which is so effective, of like other products with a similar price range that have like, you could see how many reviews they have, like how many, like what their price point is, like how it's different, and like a quick comparison chart. Like that is so Amazon is like the best at selling things in the world.
Yeah.
And that's like takes up so much real estate on all their product pages. So you got to imagine how effective that is. So it's like the advertising version of that, right? Like it's clearly an ad placement. It's clearly trying to sell you consumerism. It's not trying to hide its intent.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, let's make product discovery really simple and easy for people who have intent for things.
Yeah.
Catalog ads crushes it with that. That's the point.
Yeah, I consider it like it's like a competitor hack in a way. So if like your competitors, number one, if they're not working with Marpipe and they don't have their catalog set up correctly, like if you do, that's a really great entryway for you to then capitalize on their traffic that isn't as optimized for their catalog. It's something that I've been talking about a lot more with brands. And I think it goes back to the fact that like, because there's so much spend here, brands are finding more efficiency here than they are on big creative strategies and really complicated creative strategy team frameworks even. So it's, and another thing too that I think about is with media buyers, like they are enabled to invest in this type of creative that doesn't actually need the rest of the team to be able to create and optimize. But I want to talk about some DPA ads. I know you have some examples for us.
Well, before we dive into that, right, one big thing is actually we just signed a brand that we both know and someone that we know who is going to be totally okay with me mentioning this, Scott Kramer at ASB.
Yes.
Okay. So amazing marketing team and creative team there, right? They've scaled up some amazing beauty brands. One of them is called Bliss. Right? And he was talking to me about catalog ads, and he was like, Scott's like he's like a marketer. He knows his stuff. He's savvy, right?
He's someone to follow if you are really serious about growing growth teams and growing brands. He's like one of my number one follows.
Yeah. So Scott Kramer was like, we have this like really good UGC system figured out for Bliss, which is one of their biggest brands. Like, why do we need to focus on DPA, right? And I was like, I think you should be really careful about deprioritizing DPA, even if UGC is working for you, because your UGC is inevitably going to hit a point of creative fatigue. Like, yeah, your winning ads in there are UGC. We all know UGC is going to unpredictably fall off a cliff at some point, right?
No UGC ad lasts forever, unfortunately.
No, right. And so UGC, if there's one thing we know about UGC, it's gonna die, right, at some point.
And it's unpredictable. There's too many factors at play.
It's volatile too. The performance swings up and down. And in many ways, catalog ads is the opposite of that. Right? It doesn't require a constant creative engine that you need to keep feeding, right? If you have this awesome like UGC system set up, that's great. You should still have that. That's a big asset for a company that has like cracked the code on that. And that's like a good part of a media mix, but like it's volatile. Yeah. Right. And so and it's also really expensive to maintain, right? You need to keep feeding the beast. Right. And so you need to keep like it's expensive, like constantly sourcing UGC. You're familiar with the pain point there.
It's expensive. It's cumbersome. I ran a UGC creator department at my last role, and it's honestly just an ordeal.
Yeah. It's like, it's a headache.
Yeah.
And that's why creatives are so stressed. And creatives have so much going on all the time because they need to constantly feed this beast that is always hungry and hungrier and hungrier. Yeah. Catalog ads are the opposite. Take a deep breath, relax. If you figure out catalog ads, it does not hit creative fatigue. It scales, like it's very consistent in its performance, right? It takes longer to train, right? So
how long would you say it takes to like not get out of the learning phase, because I don't really believe in the learning phase, but how long does it take to like sort of get its bearings when you first launch a DPA or catalog ad?
Yeah, so like, okay, for example, how long do you think it takes for you to figure out on average whether like an image or a video ad is working or not? Like at what point would you like
some days for some brands it's like I know like by the end of the day if it's going to be a banger,
right?
But I'd say for most brands 2 to 3 days until I start seeing conversions and at what rate, and I'm like, okay, this is either potentially going to be scalable or not. I don't do like a full analysis until like the 7th day though.
Okay, cool. All right, so for catalogs, if you're rolling out a new catalog, right? Meaning you have never done catalog ads before, you're uploading your catalog to an ad platform for the first time, it can take usually a month of warming up the catalog and learnings, right? Because like this actually, a month is if you have like 1,000 SKUs or several thousand SKUs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right? The less SKUs you have, the faster the learning happens, because imagine the algorithm is like rapidly testing every single every product in your feed is an ad that is being tested against like all the other ones, right? So it takes a while to like for it to figure itself out,
right?
And so the learning period is longer, and this can be like frustrating or cumbersome to some marketers who like aren't used to that, right?
Yeah.
But it's an important disclaimer, right? Like the benefits of like consistent performance on the back end, if you figure it out, are like the cost to get there is like you have to like go through a learning period of like training the catalog. But once you upload the catalog for the first time and you get your like source, we call it the source feed, is like the main primary catalog, you should only have one in your account, because you want all the learnings to accumulate in one catalog. One mistake people do is that they will upload different catalogs for different like product sets. There's a different way to do that. You should not be running multiple catalogs. All of them should be one, so you're consolidating the learnings.
And then you can make like categories from within that one catalog.
You can make product sets in the additional.
That's the technical term.
In the supplemental feed section, right? Yeah. So there's a supplemental feed section.
Yeah.
In that you should be playing in there rather than creating new feeds. So once that feed is trained, 4 weeks maybe, then you can start playing around with different product sets, different like. In terms of like designs, right, which we'll break into in a bit, You can like test all of those as supplemental feeds, right? Operating off of the source feed. And for those to run a test, maybe like a week to a week and a half is typically what it takes for you to understand whether like a design treatment for your catalog is working better than like the control. So
a design treatment. Yeah, I definitely want to dive into that because I think some people will see DPA ads or they do see DPAs and they're like nervous because they don't think it's creative enough. And I think there is a big consensus right now that if it looks like an ad, people are going to scroll right by. And that makes people nervous.
We've actually found the opposite. So like first let's cover the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So we did a study with Veros.
Yeah.
Right. So really have some great friends there. And we looked at 3,500 meta ad accounts for e-commerce brands, right, across all different categories. And of those 3,500 ad accounts that we looked at in e-commerce, there was $4 billion of ad spend like under that umbrella.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we analyzed like this massive data set.
Was there a time frame that you guys were looking at specifically?
Yeah, it was actually 1 year. It was the trailing year from last November.
Oh, okay, so November 2023 to like November 2022, essentially. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And so that's a time frame. And we were able to actually for the first, like, I actually reached out to the Veros team and I was like, can you guys separate catalog ads performance from like everything else, like image and video ads? And they actually couldn't at first, but then the team there is like really badass, so they were like, we're gonna figure this out in like a few days. And then their engineers got back to me and they're like, we figured it out, we have the view.
Veros fans, yeah.
So we were like awesome, like what do the numbers say, right? Like, and we were nervous because we were like, man,
our business is riding on this positive result.
Yeah.
Or else we wouldn't be talking about it, we would just
exactly, right.
Selective data.
So here we have I'll pull this up real quick.
Amazing.
Right? So over here, we looked at two things I want to show, right? ROAS over 1 year, right? Actually the data was from July, trailing year.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Rather than November, right? Okay, so the ROAS of ROAS of why do I keep saying everyone keeps calling me out for it.
It's embarrassing.
I know. Honestly, I'll see myself out. So the ROAS on catalog ads is on average through the whole trailing year that we looked at across 3,500 ad accounts, the average performance, the average ROAS of catalog ads was 78.3% higher than the performance of image and video. Which we thought was pretty crazy.
Yikes. I mean, it's good for you. It's crazy for creative strategists, though. But I think there is more creative strategy in DPA, which we will get to.
There is, and that's we'll get to that in a second. But then the CTR piece actually really is crazy too. So if you look at click-through rate, right, which you would think like, who's clicking on these really basic, boring looking ads that are just
people are
product
just
images?
Scrolling by. If they see an ad, they know it's an ad. They're just going to scroll by.
Yeah.
Like, I hear some version of that literally every day.
False. And this proves it beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So actually, the click-through rates over time across all verticals on catalog ads are 36% higher than image and video ads on average, right? Now, so like, of course, there's going to be like, okay, like I see you in the YouTube comments, like, oh, that's not true for my ad account.
Yeah.
Right. I tested catalog ads, doesn't work for me. Image and video has always been my top performer. We hear a version of that all the time. But the truth is that there are brands in your category that have cracked the code on catalog ads and are spending the majority of their ad spend against it and have a way easier time managing their ad account and spend way less energy on creative stuff than you do.
And are probably getting your customers, because if your catalog is not up to date or up to snuff, then when you're not delivering properly or you're out of stock on something, your competitors are taking those customers.
Exactly. Right. So if you haven't figured out your catalog strategy, don't be mad. be glad because
I'm dead. There is a solution.
Because there's a solution, and it's an opportunity for you to figure out like what is the opposite side of the spectrum of this like endless creative treadmill that we're on.
Yeah.
Let's dive into some stuff I want to share. And I have a pop quiz for you.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're gonna put Dara to the test today.
Subscribers love to see me lose, but actually everyone in the comments should chime in too on what the results are if they're doing this alongside me. I can't be the only one.
I'm really excited for this. Okay. So before we dive in, right, I just want to lay some like basic groundwork, right?
Okay.
And show people what catalog ads typically look like, right? So here we have, examples of catalog ads in different formats, right? Like on Meta, they look like that. They're just a product image on a white background. On TikTok, they have this form where they appear like in the bottom left box next to a video. You've seen them on Twitter X, right? And then obviously all over the internet, like when I made the slide for this, I just went on one Washington Post article and I saw 5 ads.
Yeah.
And 4 of them were DPA. 4 out of 5 ads on this Washington Post article were DPA, right? So really popular across the open internet. Like if you're going on websites and you're looking up products, like I was looking up seltzers and Chucks. I'm wearing those Chucks that you see in that ad right now, actually.
Wow.
And so pretty crazy, but yeah, they're all over the open internet and on paid social, and they look like this, right? The big and ugly problem is that, that has 0 of the creative elements that we all know increase performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like give us some features, benefit call outs, give us a sexy headline, you know? Yeah.
Right. Like, so like this, when you set up catalog ads and you plug in your catalog into a ad platform, it is going to run the product images in your product catalog. These are the same product images from your product page. So they are almost definitely going to be your product image on a white background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But how do you edit that? Right? Like, how do you have any creative control over your catalogs, right? Because it's just the system is pulling your images straight from your product catalog, right? So, like, how do you have a designer step in between that, right? Like, that's where something like Marpipe comes in.
Okay.
Right. So that's what Marpipe does. You can think of us as kind of like a Canva or Adobe for product catalogs.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll ingest you'll just, instead of plugging your basic product catalog right into Meta, you plug it into Marpipe first. And then you get this canvas where you have the product image, and then you can do things like you can click one button and auto remove all the white backgrounds in your whole product catalog so that it's just the product transparent background. Then you can put in branded backgrounds. You can resize it, move that to the left, put in a lifestyle image that features the same product in it so people have like a point of comparison.
Yeah.
Pull in some like static elements like your brand logo.
Yeah.
That will stay the same across all of them. And then dynamic elements like the price of that specific item. Right?
So you can actually have lifestyle images pop up and be delivered on DPA. In theory too, like you could technically use those same images as like regular image ads, but it's a totally different delivery system if it's on DPA.
Exactly. Right.
Interesting. So that's a really cool test.
Yeah. So with something like Marpipe, you can actually you can finally pull the creative lever. Right. And so like Facebook has been releasing a few features that are worth mentioning to this effect because they realize how important it is and how far this goes for performance. Yeah. So like people know about like Facebook frames, right?
Gosh, yeah.
Which is the ability to like upload like a frame that goes around your product image.
Yeah. Scary.
And if you know, where if you've like tried this feature, it's like all sorts of stuff. So like, usually it's like it'll cut off your product image.
Yeah.
Right. And then it'll like appear in like weird ways. And also the delivery. People don't know actually that Facebook Frames only delivers on Facebook, not on Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your Facebook frames are actually not rendering when appearing as catalog ads in Instagram. So so like Instagram is off limits for your Facebook frames.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Seems like why don't they just
Yeah.
apply the same thing on Instagram? But hey, that's what it is, right? Okay, so we want to be able to have real, true, unlimited creative freedom to make templates for like what our DPA could look like,
Yeah.
which we refer to as design treatments.
Mm-hmm.
A design treatment is like a template, right? That you can filter your whole catalog through. So sometimes people will see examples of like Marpipe creative and they'll be
Yeah.
like, this looks like a really simple image ad.
Yeah.
But actually, it's much more complicated than that because it's a template through which like 1,000 or 10,000 product SKUs are filtered through.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like for example, I can show you real quick, right? Just so we have a sense for it. Here is an example with Latico. Shout out Ben Schreiber who runs this account, this ad account. They had amazing performance, but here we can see like this is a simple like template, right? And you have a product image. You have this will change as like different SKUs change, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the product title here, and then like free shipping with the price, and then like this is a static element. Like this doesn't change. And as we shuffle through different SKUs, it'll change the product title, right? And like the price here. So like it'll dynamically, so you can see what different examples of SKUs look like filtered through this treatment.
Okay.
Right? And then you can just like render it all out and see what your whole feed looks like through this treatment.
Oh, so you can also like make adjustments too if you like don't like the padding and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So you can look at that and then you can just send that all out straight to Facebook, and like run it as a test against your control. And your control again would literally just be this product image, right? So you can get really, this is a simple example, really straightforward and basic, but there are so many like cool things you can do and get really fancy with it. And I'll show you some examples. Cool. All right. So we have established that catalog ads look ugly. By making them look better, we can take advantage of the creative elements that we know work really well. While also taking advantage of the delivery system that's like so much better.
Yeah. I wouldn't say catalog ads are ugly. They're boring. Right?
Oh, yes, exactly. Boring. Right, exactly. Because if it's just a picture of your product, who am I to call
on a white background, Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to run you through, we'll come back to that later, but I want to run you through a few pop quiz tests.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, let's do it.
So we're gonna put your creative chops to the test.
Oh no.
Today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you some, and this is gonna highlight the importance and the performance impact of really simple creative tests when it comes to catalog ads, right? So we're gonna see like how much this matters. Okay, so there's this brand Cozy Earth, and this is brand new actually. This case study just came in on Friday. So literally,
and I love this brand. This is a great brand.
This is an awesome brand. They're crushing it they're part of the Facebook Disruptors program. I mean, they're like doing really well, and they're scaling ad spend like crazy. Trust me. So they're doing really well. We love to be able to work with like a DTC brand that's like really innovating in the category right now. This is what their catalog ads looked like before, which you can see on top, right? Before they started working with a tool like Marpipe, which is just their lifestyle. It just pulled lifestyle imagery and product imagery. Same thing you would see on the product page.
Yeah. So that to me is like, I see a million of those DPA ads or catalog ads every day. And I'm like, yeah, like, and also you can kind of like deduce when you see these in your own feed, like why you're seeing it.
Exactly.
Like it's either because you had visited that like site before or even looked at that specific product, or you looked at a product from a competitor that's similar.
Again, like the delivery, it's better.
Yeah.
It's more relevant. Right. But like, man, what if we could upgrade the creative? Right. And so this brand actually tested, props to them and their team. They've tested 30 treatments. Here's an example of 4 of those treatments. One of these is the best performing treatment that they've tested.
And that's interesting because it looks like something that I would have like a designer create, because it's like a split screen.
Yeah.
ad. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see it's using elements that it's pulling from the product feed. Like you can see there's like the product image with the model on a studio background. There's the lifestyle image juxtaposed next to each other. That's a really popular tip. Including price is a great variable, including discounts, slash throughs, value props.
I'm
free
surprised
shipping.
it worked so well because that price is like, it's not cheap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is interesting though is they have that as like the one that's the biggest, so your eye automatically goes to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for like the right customer, like that's not going to scare them.
Because the delivery is right.
Yeah.
It's not being served to customers who are scared by this price point. And
That's a great point. Yeah.
And beyond that, right? DPA is when we look at accounts for mattress companies and for jewelry brands.
Yeah.
Like the Majuris of the world and stuff, right? David Yurman, we're talking to right now.
Yeah.
Those are obviously really high price points.
And I'm not going to get delivered David Yurman jewelry, by the way. Not yet.
For the people, for those ad accounts with those really high AOVs,
Yeah.
They love DP. DPA works really well. So like, do not be discouraged by like high AOVs. They actually they work really well with DPA.
Honestly, that's a really big unlock, I think, because I think so many brands get into the hamster wheel of creative strategy and they're like, how can we convince people? How can we use the human desires and human psychology and blah, blah, blah. And this is just sort of like, actually, like I know the people and it doesn't have to come down to targeting.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that has made media buyers nervous over the last few years is, okay, interests are being deprecated. Lookalikes are bullshit and like don't work at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But Meta still has that data and they have this system where like, okay, by looking at like your catalog and that information and that data, they can now still deliver to the right people. And the price point one is honestly like, I'm going to be thinking about that a lot more.
Do you know the story of the Gordian knot?
No. I don't know what that
is. It's like, it's a story about Alexander the Great. And there was this like myth in like this town he was conquering, right? That like there was this cart that was like tied to a post by this like crazy massive knot, right?
Yeah.
And the idea was like there was like this myth that like whoever can untie this knot will rule all the kingdoms in the land, right? And this was like a 100-year-old knot that so many people tried to untie and couldn't figure out, right? And so when Alexander came to that town and he conquered it, he looked at the knot and he just cut it with his sword. And like release the cart, right? And like that is just like that's the allegory for like the best answer is usually the simplest one, right?
Yeah.
And so like when it comes to like ad creative, right? I think you can apply like a really similar lens, and catalog ads is like the vehicle for doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Like try the simplest solution. Just like show the product, the price, right? Take advantage of this amazing delivery system.
Just deliver to people that are going to buy a $265 sweater, you know?
Yeah.
Done. Okay, show me some of these other ones.
Okay, well, no. Well, this is your test, Dara. You have to guess which one of these performed the best.
Oh,
these
Jesus.
are three. So you have four. You have four design treatments here that this brand these are real design treatments that Cozy Earth tested. One of them is the winner. Why don't you take a look and think through, what do you think about these? Which one do you think won?
Okay, so we have number one. This is the one that has the $265 as like the biggest font there. Mm-hmm. So immediately I see that. As a creative strategist, I hate that. That's horrendous. I like the fact that they're using a split screen. They have two different models. It shows like the wide range, even different color schemes, which I think is interesting. Something I've seen in general for apparel is if you can show multiple colorways for the same SKU, sometimes that tends to increase conversions. And it's interesting because number two is using that same idea. It's using the same two pictures, right? And that's a more authentic split screen. The thing that's drawing my eye immediately is, hey, this is 25% off. So immediately I'm kind of like, I don't know if this is fair because this is an offer and my media buyer brain says, oh, this offer is probably going to do a pretty good job at converting someone, especially something that's over just showing the $265 price point. Honestly, I can't even read the other stuff, but I don't think it really matters. It's just like a CTA, whatever. Number 3. Now, what's been really interesting about number 3 is like I've had designers make this exact ad creative before, like to a T.
But as an image ad, not as a catalog.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which I think, the thing I'm really grasping onto that is so important about DPAs is just because the delivery mechanism is so different and it's using all of this, this catalog data to help do that targeting. That's, I think would be really impactful. So I'm going to analyze this. Okay, we got an image on one side. We have a cross out. So this is another offer ad. And then it's softened fabric guaranteed 100-night trial. That's incredible. And then free shipping. Right now I'm kind of between 2 and 3. It's offer based, but I also think the 100-night trial is like really good for like overcoming objections with people.
What about number 4? Just no numbers.
Number 4, no options. What do we got? Brushed bamboo. What's that? That's the last one.
It's just the
dress. Okay.
It's the name of the product.
It's the name of the product.
Yeah.
But it looks good. That's the thing too. Is like,
okay.
Would I be right in saying it's number 2 or number 3?
I need your final answer.
Oh, jeez. I hate this. I didn't get to where I am by always getting the correct answer, by the way. I got to where I am because I always want to test things. That's something that all media buyers and creative strategists should be taking from this. I feel like you're tricking me, and that's actually 1. But I'm going to say if I had to put all of my money on everything, I'd 2. I think men are less likely to buy. So I'd say 2. Women are going to buy.
Okay. My heart dropped for a second because you said, I think that you might be tricking me and it's actually 1.
Yeah.
And it's actually 1.
I knew it.
So again, underscores.
That is crazy. And that's crazy. And I'm willing to bet that creative strategist looking at this, if that ad came across, my desk from a creative team, I'd be like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And also, like, you don't really need to be a creative to make this, do you?
You don't need to be a creative to make this, and
it's just dragging and dropping some stuff.
I think that result can and should make people uncomfortable because it breaks a lot of the rules that I think people think they know about selling on paid social.
Now, let's look at the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So simply by this brand tested 30 design treatments, right?
Well done.
This is the winner.
Yeah.
This is the best one that they've tested. You saw 4 of them that were 30.
Yeah.
This emerges the number 1 winner. This is what their DPA looked like before. This is what their DPA looks like after. 90% of their Meta DPA spend now goes to that template.
That's crazy.
They were able to scale their DPA spend by 220% after figuring out this design template.
Yeah.
And they increased their ROAS by 60%.
ROAS.
They increased their ROAS by 60%. So when it comes to catalog ads, right? Small creative changes, right? Basic creative changes.
Yeah.
Put in the price, put in the logo, put in an additional lifestyle image. Very basic things that you don't need to be a creative at all to do, that someone can do in a Canva, right? Will drive major performance differences.
Now, a question that I have as like a creative operator is 30 design treatments tested. How long does it take like a system like yours to make these different templates or treatments?
Yeah, so like let's assume, I forget how many SKUs that the Cozy Earth has, but let's say it's 5,000.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say it's 5,000 SKUs, so 30 treatments. I mean, we're rendering out a new catalog for every treatment. So that's 5,000 times 30, right? Is how many new images are being created across 30 new catalogs.
Okay. And you're not actually creating a new catalog because that would be bad.
We're hosting a new image catalog that we then upload as a supplemental feed to the original one.
Okay.
So you're not so most people when they like this is why like we thought something like Marpipe was really important to build, because in like the prehistoric pilgrim days before Marpipe, you would have a creative actually custom make this template for every single product SKU in your catalog. So you'd have a creative sitting there making 1,000 new product images, making a new catalog, upload that as a new catalog, go through a 4-week training phase.
I have actually, back in the day, I have had people do that.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
That used to be a thing. Used to be a thing.
I've been media buying for a long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, let's not ever, if you or someone you love knows anyone doing this manually, don't. So like, yeah, all they did was really make 30 design templates, which is the equivalent of making like 30 like image ad templates, right?
Yeah.
And then they just click render and the whole feed renders through. So within a minute, like you're creating, 30 times 5,000 in this example.
Jeez.
And you're testing them. And it took them about a month and a half to test all of those and find the winner here.
But that's like essentially like 30 creative tests. And let's just say they have 5,000 SKUs across 5,000 SKUs. Like,
it's the same work as testing 30 ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of like lift and setup and stuff. And then the other, like, the time constraint is just letting it run.
Right.
And gather the data.
Yeah. But it's also highly optimized because these ads are only really being shown to people that have some sort of vested interest in your product. So you're not like delivering the wrong product to the right person or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And just one thing, it's like, so for the people who say I tried catalog ads, it doesn't work for me. Well, if your catalog ads look like that and you didn't try different designs because you didn't know it was possible, or it seemed like too much work to do, it's actually really easy to do, and it can really unlock your ability to scale catalog ads. You want to look at another example?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
okay.
I do.
This is going to be in a different. Okay, this is going to be in a different category.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
We're going to look at one of the biggest furniture retailers.
I'm always in the market for furniture. I'm like one of those people that I'm always thinking that I need to completely remodel.
Yeah? Really?
So I'm like always.
I feel like you have really good like interior design taste.
Flash a picture of my apartment. I try, but I feel like every 6 months I'm like, I need something new. It's probably because it's like always in the background and like my studio is in my living room. So I always feel like I need to like change it up. So
well, here's the real test. Do you feel like you get targeted by furniture DPAs?
All the time. You want to know who spends a ton of money on me? West Elm. Just every single day.
You are the target demo.
I am.
Let's go.
I am. I really am.
Okay, well, here we have Raymore and Flanagan, which is probably not targeting you.
No, they're not.
But they are targeting your parents.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
So this brand tested 10 treatments. These are 5 of them.
Yeah.
So a little harder because there's more options to choose from here. But they actually ran some evergreen designs at the same time as running some big sale designs.
Yeah.
And so, and this is this actually is an important point. Running sale overlays on catalog ads is like always a performance win. Like that works really well to the point where if you're running holiday sales or seasonal promos and you're not applying overlays to the items that are on sale in your catalog ads, like you are definitely leaving money on the table. We have never seen that not lift performance, right? And so like it's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do, set up and activate. Well, I don't know why everyone doesn't do it, but certainly the brands on Marpipe do. And so here's some examples.
Okay, so we got 5 examples. We have a Memorial Day sale, 30% off. Got a big juicy offer there, but I won't be tricked this time. President's Day sale, it's smallest font. And what's interesting too is that one has like in the little CTA button now price point. Okay, number 3, your style delivered fast, about $6.99. Now what's interesting is that has no offer. So if we're learning from the last one, I might choose number 3. Number 4, next day delivery, though, that's really impressive for any type of furniture company. And as someone who's bought furniture, if I see next day delivery, I will probably pay up to like 20 to 30% more just for that. Because it could take, sometimes furniture takes like 6 months to deliver. Sale. Save $155. Okay. I'm going to go with 3.
3.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to go with 3 because it looks like the one that won the last time.
Pattern recognition?
Pattern recognition. Maybe 4. No, let's go 3. Let's go 3.
You were so close, Dara.
What? What was it? What was it?
It's 4.
I hate these
4.
things because people always expect me to get it right, and they expect me to pick from a lineup the top performing creative, and I'm like, it does not work like that.
All right, so yeah, number 4 was the winner. Damn. And yeah, it's so the free next day delivery on the mattresses, like, great value prop, but
so I should have listened to myself. I even said I would pay 20 to 30% more for that.
And look, the AOV was $300 higher from this. So then, and the 25% increase in revenue from attributed to this, and 50% increase in ROAS.
And what I think too is interesting is, like, I think this is a really good example of how you can make categories or product sets for your overall catalog. Because for Raymore and Flanigan, not every single product is going to be available on next day delivery. So they're going to have like a set SKU list that's like, oh, we have all these things for next day delivery. Let's create a product set for that so that we can deliver that to the right people and push a certain amount of ad spend behind that.
Right. And this is exactly, like, you can do things, you can get away with value props that you can't in regular ad creative because of how catalog ads are set up, right? So, like, you can say free next day delivery, and this will only appear on items that applies to. But if your hero UGC ad, if the main value prop is free next day delivery, but you only have free next day delivery on, like, like 10% of your products, then, like, you're screwed, right? Because then people are going to go to your site and be pissed off that, like, this doesn't apply to the thing that they want.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and, like, if you say, like, like $25 first payment with Afterpay, right? On, like, $100 product.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can do things like that with catalog ads. You can advertise the Afterpay first payment price, right? Because it'll automatically calculate what that is for every SKU that's shown. So you can get away with, like, applying value props to things that only apply to certain products rather than your whole store, which is, like, different from, a video or an image ad overall.
Okay.
Right. Unless you're really targeted with where you're sending that traffic to. You could get, like, fancy with the setup there if you want to, but with catalog ads, it's easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, goes to show, like, one simple overlay test. Do you think it takes a designer to build this?
No, I do not. It doesn't even take a creative strategist.
So there we are. So thank you for being a good sport.
Yeah,
playing along.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't gonna get it. If you guys at home got both of those right, let me know in the comments. I'll give you kudos.
So I mean, one of the things that I think, like, we're walking away from this, I think, with the realization that, like, okay, catalog ads are a huge, format.
Yeah.
They're really unique in their delivery, so it's important to try to, like, crack the code.
Yeah.
Creative is a lever that we can use to crack the code.
And there is creative strategy on DPA.
That doesn't require a lot of creative resources at all. In fact, paid media managers can do this themselves all the time. You don't need to have creative chops. Using a tool like Marpipe, really easy to set up. But let's talk about, like, overall, just, like, let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
Right, maybe, and just, like, one thing I just wanted to make sure we cover was, like, what kind of brands should use DPA, and if you're just starting out, like, what should you do, right? So there's a myth, right, that, like, you need to have a lot of product SKUs to do really well with DPA.
Yeah, because some of the brands we talked about today had, like, 5,000 plus SKUs.
Yeah, and for some, I think some brands look at that and they're like, 5,000. Like, I only have a few hundred.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what is this myth true? Kind of. You know, we like to say, okay, if you're like a single like like hero product, direct to consumer brand, which there are, like, for example, like really good friends over at Nude. Shout out Brian Kano, amazing marketers there.
Yeah, huge fan over here as well. I'm always looking at their ad library.
Yeah, like they're great. But like they have like 3 products.
Yeah.
Right. They have like their main shaver, and then they have like 2 versions of it, I think. And yeah, so it's like they only have a few products, hero product, very like straightforward. If you're like that, catalog ads like might not work for you, right? And in fact, like the more products you have, the more likely your catalog ads are to perform better.
Okay, yeah.
So like we like to say that, like, I like to see at least 50 SKUs. I like to see at least 50 SKUs. Over 250, great. We're cooking with oil.
Yeah, and I think that's actually too, we're at the point where creative strategists look at a brand like that and they're like, I'm nervous. How can I account for all of these products?
Right.
And it's like catalog ads.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. And also, catalog ads are great for liquidating that like surplus inventory, by the way. That you might not be focusing on in your like hero ad creative. Like if you're making UGC, you're going to be almost definitely talking about your best-selling product. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
What
or
about
the new product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about the other products that are still taking up space in your warehouse? Catalog ads. They'll push them out.
Yeah, like a sale or like a discounted offer is another great product set that you could run.
Right.
Really cheaply.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So great for liquidating the excess inventory. But yeah, we like to see more products, the better, because the more SKU data you're feeding the algo.
And what kind of industries would you say would be the best here?
Yeah, so like high SKU count industries are like apparel, beauty, marketplaces like GoPuff or Thrive Market, which are 2 of our really successful customers.
Yeah.
Travel brands.
Yeah.
So like travel feeds are pretty crazy looking. Every travel experience, every trip is a SKU. Event ticket companies. So like
I've gotten asked a lot of questions about event tickets lately, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Like they have a massive product catalog. Every ticket is a SKU. So you can actually create a design.
Yeah.
To like bring that just raw text data to live in a design. So that works really well. And actually, there's some like large travel brands that like build tools to make this possible in-house for themselves. Like they have whole catalog design teams.
I have heard of that. Yeah,
which is like crazy. But yeah, those are some categories, like so high level, like the definitely like the standout ones. But if you're in another category, look at your SKU count to determine whether catalog ads is something you should try and really like, keep like trying to crack the code for. I would say if you're over 50, you should definitely try it. If you're like over several hundred, it should definitely be working for you. It's just a matter of like, can you crack the code, right?
Yeah.
And so, how do we crack the code? How do we like get started and set up? Like we always look at so many ad accounts from like some of the world's largest brands. Like we work with like Bloomingdale's and Crocs. And I noticed that our studio is on top of an Express store now.
Yeah.
And Express is one of our biggest customers. So yeah, we work with brands like that. And obviously like they have their stuff set up there. And you know what's interesting? Those like massive retailers like really know their stuff when it comes to catalog ads, which is very different from my experience talking to DTC marketers. Find that interesting. Like why the biggest ad accounts in the world spending the most that I've seen with the best performance have teams that like really know their catalog stuff. But DTC brands who are like doing all the a lot of smaller brands just like don't know their catalog stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing you can rely on with these like really big retailer teams is they will know their catalog stuff. So like, if you're trying to be like them, maybe like learn from that, right?
And that's actually why I wanted to bring you on. And like, just so that you guys know, like Dan didn't sponsor this video. Dan's a good friend of mine. Like we've hung out for years, and I've actually never done any videos about catalog ads or about DPA ads. And something that I've noticed actually as I'm starting to work with much bigger brands is how much bigger of a percentage their ad spend is going to this type of creative that honestly no one else has really talked about and done a deep dive on.
Right.
So like I thought it was really important to like highlight this type of ad creative, even though as a creative strategist, I'm honestly not even really necessary for it. So I like it doesn't make me nervous. It makes me really excited because I think that a lot of brands right now going into an election year, they're going to be struggling with performance.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's going to be billions of dollars flowing into these platforms. And it's not just, you know, DPA isn't just for Meta. There's also an option now for TikTok, which I want to dive into a little bit more as well. And I think that the more brands that can invest in their catalog health really can help sustain a lot of performance as this year becomes a little bit rockier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, and I think like that's a really, it's like important to highlight the, I guess, like the opportunity within the fact that this isn't such a discussed thing, right? Like it's boring, right? From the surface, it seems boring. Hopefully here we've dug into a lot of reasons why it can be actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, like it's they say like that the most like sexy businesses are the most boring ones that like few people talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's the same thing with I think with ads. Right. And so there's this like undiscussed, like, not because it's more fun to talk about creative strategy, but catalog strategy brings the big bucks home for the biggest brands.
Yeah.
And so like if you want to get serious about scaling your approach there, right, it's something you're going to need to take seriously and dive into. And like we spend all our time thinking about that, and that's what we build resources for. You know, we're always talking about like if you on our newsletter, I think run the most niche newsletter in all of marketing. Our newsletter has 7,000 marketers on it that it is only about catalog ads. We run a weekly newsletter where we only talk about catalog ads, news of catalog ads, like, you know, catalog ad creative strategy. And, you know, we have like a very niche, like that's all. So like we have 7,000 marketers who are on our newsletter just looking at, just, you know, wanting catalog info. And so it's like a bigger, I think, content area than I thought there was demand for.
Yeah.
And there's few people making content about it. We did make like a really exhaustive guide on and this is for beginners and for like deep experts alike.
Yeah.
We actually see that like the biggest brands that we work with and the small mom and pop Shopify startup brands get like an equal amount of value from this. It's on our website. If you go to our website, you're going to get hit with a pop-up every single time. That's just going to say the complete guide to DPA in 2023. And this is like a really exhaustive just guide that we made for like the 3 pillars of catalog strategy, where you can dive in on your own time and you can look at like what does the perfect setup look like, what are the most common like places people go wrong, what are the biggest like errors that people encounter. There's a lot of just like stupid potholes that like you don't need to like run over, but people do when it comes to catalog setup.
Yeah, because it's like a little bit more technical. Like I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to be working with a brand that's going to be setting up a catalog, like I will personally not be setting that up. You know, it's like,
okay,
that's not for me.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
So we have a step-by-step guide exactly for that, right? For whoever is setting that up, and if that's the marketer, right, then you know, all yours. About creative strategy, best practices, and about channels too. And channels is like the TikTok piece that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Is really interesting. So like, okay, this is where it gets fun. So
I've been having fun this entire time, but
I'm just okay. Yeah, I feel like, you know, I love like talking to brands that jump on demos with us, because like we like at Marpipe, we are like so like nerdily excited about catalog ads in a way that no one else is. But like, hey, this is what we do all day, so like we love it. But okay, channel strategy. This part is so cool. So if Meta catalog ads works really well for you and you've cracked the code on it, right? Your next obvious step is to take exactly what's working for you on Meta catalog ads and copy and paste that exact catalog ad strategy into other paid socials, right? We find that translates really well in a way that other creative formats do not at all.
Yeah, because honestly, if you find a format that works on Meta, taking that format and sending it to TikTok, in fact, I'd say most of the time that doesn't work.
It doesn't, right? Because
Yeah.
like you need to build channel specific.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly.
So you'll have like your TikTok creative team, you'll have your Meta creative team.
It's generally the same team, but I often find that they're really good at one or the other.
Right. And yeah, like, I don't know, yeah. Like you have that trend of like TikTok UGC like getting popular on Meta, and then like
So I've seen that work. I've seen that pipeline work. Like, okay, if something does really good on TikTok ads, it will likely maybe perform on Meta ads. But it never goes the other way. And people wish it would, because they are obviously spending a good majority of their testing dollars testing on Meta.
Yeah.
And those learnings don't transfer, so it's just kind of
Learnings don't transfer. But with catalog ads, we've actually seen like, because it's so simple, we've seen like really clean transfer of performance across platform. So once it works really well on Meta, we are like really encouraging brands to try that in everywhere else where they spend media dollars, and in fact to venture into some places where they haven't. And with TikTok specifically, with TikTok, they used to have this really bad format for catalog ads. So
I see it in my head.
They used to force you into these like video templates that were just like pre-cooked.
The ones that like they like circle and fly around.
Yeah. It was like kind of cringy. It was kind of campy, and they were like trying to force video on what is inherently like a static image thing. They were ignoring the cardinal rule of catalog ads of like make ads look like ads. They were trying to make it not look like ads, but it's a catalog ad. It should look like an ad.
Yeah.
Right? So so they were like trying to force, so when you like uploaded your catalog, it had to go filter out through these like pre-made video templates that you had to pick one that you like. And it was a nightmare. Like people like were like, this doesn't like this doesn't work half the time, and the other half the time like we don't like it, right? And so they just released TikTok when they saw like the rise of catalog ads is very, very like obvious on Meta. And some would say the death of UGC, but
you're really trying to plug that. I won't allow it, but it's maybe a little true.
I love, one of my good friends is Denney, who runs Incense, and I love teasing him with that. I'm like, Denney, UGC is dead. Catalog ads are long live DPA. So anyway, TikTok just released a new in November static. Finally they like relented, and they were like, you can just run static image DPA, and so now you don't need to force it through these like weird video presets and filter it through that. You can just run regular static image DPA on TikTok, and it works really well. And it's a new capability there, and people who are running it and testing it there are seeing great results. We're talking like, all different types, shapes, sizes of companies. From like the massive biggest retailers you can imagine to like small startups. Or if you're seeing success on Meta, test it on Meta. If you're seeing success there, crack the code, bring it to TikTok, bring it to Pinterest, and bring it to Snap. Those are the three. Those are the three channels that we see like really clean transfer over, and that we encourage you to test.
It's interesting. I've been hearing more and more people talking about Pinterest lately, and it's actually has the award of being my least favorite ad buying platform. They also call look-alike audiences act-alike audiences, which I truly hated as a user. But I've seen a few brands having success with it recently. And I think the brands that are the ones that are using catalog ads.
I think they're stepping up their game, and catalog ads are.
It's because the Google, their Pinterest new CEO is from Google.
Yes.
And that you are now able to buy Pinterest ads on Google.
Yes. I didn't know. Oh, well, I knew the guy was from Google. Didn't know you could buy Pinterest ads through Google.
You're now able to, or you're going to be able to. They just like announced that functionality.
Amazing. That's great. That's so cool. So I mean, but yeah, like. Pinterest, you could see how it lends itself to being a really like catalog ad friendly platform.
Yeah.
Right. So so yeah, catalog ads do great there. And I think most advertisers, I would bet you that like the top advertisers who are winning on Pinterest and spending on Pinterest the most are spending over 75% of their budget at least on catalog ads.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like it's a huge part of our ecosystem. It's under talked about. There's not a lot of resources for it. So I'm like really glad that you are like recognize that and are like, let's shine some light on this like boring thing that like I have one friend who's like weirdly obsessed about it.
Well, also another reason why I like it is because it's really easy. Like, yes, I'm a creative strategist / media buyer doing this for years. I am all about optimizing for the platform's strengths, which is why like you don't need to do like audience targeting anymore on Meta. And this is just kind of like another step in that direction. Like, why overcomplicate it? And I have seen brands just getting amazing results out of DPAs lately. But again, like I always shied away from it a little bit because of the technical catalog setup aspect that I like could not and would not explain to anyone to do. But I just don't even think that a lot of people have this type of ad unit on their radar.
Yeah.
And honestly, the big unlock for me is like that the delivery mechanism is so different. And it is really like that competitor hack that I don't think enough people know.
The competitor hack, the like the simplicity, yeah, just exact. And I mean, I think that once you can overcome the initial like hurdle of like the perceived complexity of the setup, you
just
really
pay someone to do it, you know?
Pay us to do it.
Yeah, just pay. I don't care.
Well, that's
like,
what we're here for.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, but there, yeah, pay someone to do it or do it yourself. We have a guide for it, so choose your path.
Yeah.
You know, you could do it for free if you want to go through our guide, or you could just pay someone to deal with it for you. Then all you need to do is slap on some really creative, like really simple Canva-esque overlays.
Yeah.
Test them, and like profit.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
so yeah.
So I think something that a lot of like meta advertisers and creative strategists, like one of their hurdles too with DPA ads is like there's no video function. So I'm kind of interested, like, is there a possibility to have like video DPAs? Is that even a thing?
Yeah. So we like TikTok has, I think, as we know, attempted this unsuccessfully. But I think where they went wrong is like the presets, right? They forced you into these like weird
ugly templates. Yeah.
And so what Meta is doing right now is actually really interesting. Shout out to the Meta team. Like clearly Meta is investing a lot of engineering resources into making catalog ads a lot better because Meta just rolled out. And I think it's in all ad accounts now. I know that before they did a slow rollout. So it was one of those things where like 5% of ad counts had access to it and then 10 and 50. So I think they're at 100. I think everyone has access to this now. But you are able to upload video, you cut like your own completely custom video as a DPA ad format in DPA ads, right? So like if you have videos of your products as a column in your product feed, which not many people do, but now people are creating because of this new functionality. If you have product level video, you know, sometimes you have those stores like, actually Kizik is an example of this.
Oh, okay.
So Kizik has on every product page, they have a little video of their product too. It's like you have the images.
Yeah.
So like on a product page, you know, you'll see like the images, and so you can go through all the angles, and then you'll see like at maybe the end or like last slide will be like an image, a video that like will do like a little 360 of it or something simple like that, right? So if you have that in your that means that they have a video column in their product feed. That's what that means, right? So you can now run that as the DPA, so you can take advantage of the DPA delivery format with video, like and motion, right? Which you couldn't do on Meta ever before. This is new.
Interesting. So in theory, like if you're a big retailer and you noticed, hey, we have this one video that does really well for one of our best-selling products, on Meta. We could take that top performing video, put it on the website as one of the product options when you're scrolling through, or product images once you're scrolling through. That would then be uploaded as a video, as a video in the catalog, which means that you could be using that same ad creative on a completely different delivery mechanism.
Exactly. And this is something that, like, before Meta rolled out to everyone, they tested with brands like Kizik. And they saw that it worked. It worked. So the performance is there. It's like the benefits of DPA delivery plus the benefits of like motion and video. The thumb stopping element there, win. So if you have, you can. So that's like a net new capability with DPA ads that is new, exciting, and people are testing right now. And if you're a brand that is seeing success with catalog ads and you haven't tested this yet, you definitely should.
Yeah. I think like one of the big things I'm taking away too is like, if you're a media buyer for a brand that has over 50 SKUs, and likely you're a media buyer for a brand that has more than that, like, and you aren't up to speed on DPA and catalog, like, you really need to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so, like, thank you for inviting me and letting me nerd out about catalog ads.
Of course. Thanks for, I think this is like the only DPA masterclass on YouTube, which I'm really excited about hosting.
Yeah, I hope so.
But let's, give people the hard sell on Marpipe.
Yeah. So marpipe.com, we give brands complete creative control over their dynamic product ads, right? So we work with some of the the largest retailers in the world, some of the world's biggest brands. So, like Bloomingdale's and Express and Taylor, and then like some of the most exciting like direct to consumer brands like GoPuff and Ridge. And so we're like, you can think of us as like a Canva design platform for catalog ads. We are really hands-on. Our team is super hands-on with making sure that every brand is successful, right? So it's not like, it's not like you're just kind of like on your own and figure it out, right? Like, we have really hands-on support, and we want to make sure that you prove out success with this. So please get, like, if you're a brand that's considering running DPA, right? Our price point does start at $1,500 a month. And we are really hands-on. We like to say that, like, if you're spending over $50K a month, on ad spend, period, then it's probably worth it for you. Right, you should probably do this. If you're under that, then a tool like Marpipe could be overkill for you. And we definitely encourage you to start with just like regular catalog ads, get your setup right, nail all that, get to a point of scale where you've kind of figured out your product market fit, and then bring in a tool like Marpipe to really help you get to the next level, and really replicate. One of the things that our customers appreciate most is that, like, we know what works for for other brands in your category. And we are going to make custom design templates for you that we bet you will work for you. So we're really like, we have our ear to the street with like what's working in your category, and we're able to really get you to like performance pretty quickly, we think. So just go on the website and book a demo if you think that sounds like you. Also, if you mention that you heard about us from Dara, from this channel, then we'll give you 10% off, whatever package you buy. That's going to save you definitely over $1,000, if not thousands of dollars, just by mentioning her name. So just mention that you heard about it from here, and we'll give you 10% off. And we'll get you set up and we'll get you sorted. But other than that, we're really focused. If Marpipe is too expensive for you, subscribe to our newsletter and check out some of the resources that we put out there for smaller businesses on how to get set up and scaled there. Because catalog ads is for everyone who has more than a few product SKUs, and wants to figure out like a consistent way to scale with boring ads.
Hell yeah. Boring ads. It's the new movement. So thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much, Dan, for visiting me today. And I will see you guys all next week. Bye.